Hi, I want to get back into doing uke reviews. This is the first one I've done in many years. It's an Ohana 25S, SK-25S. I'm only 90% sure I got that right. If I got it wrong, the correct one is going to be in the description. I bought it from Mim. I want to give a shout out to Mim because I may be going out on a limb here, but I want to say that part of the reason that Ohana has such a good reputation is because of Mim. Ohana, much like Kala, Lanakai. Not a bad brand, not a great brand. They're a budget brand. But Mim sets them up so that they have that great action that the really expensive brands do. And honestly, I think that's a really huge part of making a uke good. You know, these have got the good woods, at least to my ears. But very often you'll get one and it won't have the best action, it won't feel quite right, and as a result when you play it doesn't sound quite right because it's not feeling totally right to you. But the ones that Mim sells always have that feel where they feel, to me, just as good as the high-end brands that I have owned and played. Key thing about this one is the geared tuners. The thing you get with a lot of sopranos is they don't have the geared tuners. They got those friction tuners where, especially when changing strings, it's gonna take longer. You're probably gonna have to loosen and tighten the screws in the friction tuners, and especially when the strings are new and still stretching, they can be frustrating. They can go out of tune a lot, and you have to tune up and tune them down. Sometimes tighten the screws and loosen and retighten the screws again. So this doesn't have that inconvenience. Very convenient soprano to own. Only thing is, as you'd imagine, it's a little bit heavier. And on an instrument as tiny and light as a soprano, I have to say you actually do feel the weight. So fortunate, but that's the price you pay for having these better, more convenient tuners, is that it is heavier. Not to say it feels heavy, it's a soprano, but it doesn't have that feeling of almost weightlessness that a soprano with friction tuners would have. Like, you don't feel like you could toss it up in the air the way you could with most sopranos, most of those super light sopranos. It's very, very good value. I bought it for $159. Like I said, to my ears, the wood sounds great. This solid mahogany. I don't own it anymore, but when I first got it, I compared it to a laminate soprano that I owned, a Luna, and that Luna was good. It's definitely one of the better laminates that I've ever owned or played. The sustain is good. The setup was pretty good. Especially when you had Aquilas on it, you know, it sounded pretty good. But there really is that certain X factor. You call it resonance, call it richness, call it a lot of things. None of those words are scientific, at least not as far as I know. So I'm just going to go with it. It's got that X factor in the sound that just catches your ear, makes you want to play it more, makes you more just fascinated with the interesting sounds that are coming out of it. Get that with solid wood. I didn't get it with the laminate. And it really wasn't until I bought this one and compared it to that older laminate one that I really appreciated how much, you know, even on like a more low budget basic instrument like this one, the solid wood really does make a difference. I guess I've heard there are some brands that have like solid woods that, you know, aren't that good, aren't any better than laminates. I know they're out there, but I've never played one. Ohana, as set up by Mim, it's good wood, good setup, good uke. The finish is a matte finish. It's not that best feeling matte finish like you get on a high-end non-gloss uke. But I have to say, I'm not a fan of gloss. I don't like the feel of it. I like the flashy look of it. I like the reflectiveness of it, but I don't like the feel of it. Yeah, I don't like this. It feels slippery to me. This doesn't have that. But also one thing you run into with matte finishes a lot is that they'll almost be too dry, whereas the gloss is too sticky. Sometimes a matte is too dry, and it might be even like barely conscious of it, but you'll find yourself playing the ukulele because it just doesn't feel good. This, like I think I said, it doesn't have that like awesome feel of, say, like a matte finished Martin, like a classic one. But it does feel very good. It is a very, very far above average finish that you get. So, to recap, sum up, basic visual uke. I think that's why it's so surprisingly inexpensive. No binding, etc. Geared tuners make it heavier, but also more convenient. That's just a trade-off that you got. And great sound. And oh, one other thing I forgot to mention. Unlike most sopranos, where it goes up to only 12 frets, this continues to have frets. If you are a shredder, which I'm not, I could see that being just really awesome. Especially since the intonation on this is really good too. So yeah, that's about all I can say about this uke. It's a good one. I hope that this review is helpful. I hope it makes you feel like you know what you're getting when you get it. Bye-bye now.